We have two Blue Lock dropouts, one quiet park, and a whole lot of introspective dialogue between the most two random people. Deadass feels like that Kendrick song, you take two strangers and put them in random predicaments. Real ones know. What's going on, everyone? My name is Animasu, and I actually sound better today. Yay! Today we're diving into the Blue Lock chapter 310 leaks that have recently dropped. If you want to read along with the panels, make sure to join my Discord using the link below. And of course, if you want to stay updated with all things Blue Lock or just support the channel, hit that subscribe button and comment below your thoughts. I hope you all enjoy today's breakdown, and let's get right into it. Today's leaks open with intro text over the city skyline that says, "In the unknown winds blowing, a mystery person appears. What will these two dropouts from the Blue Lock facility talk about?" And immediately, we're met with Igarashi walking down the street alongside none other than Nagi Seishiro. It turns out that Igarashi had to go on a whole side quest just to find him. He tried going to Nagi's school, asked around, but got treated like some random guy who didn't belong because it is a private school after all. He eventually bumped into someone who told him that Nagi is always at the arcade, and sure enough, that's exactly where he found him. While walking under the streetlights, Nagi immediately calls out that Igarashi has become a suspicious stalker-like guy while also making his iconic ghost emoji face, which results in Igarashi yelling back that he came here literally for him. I told you all last chapter, this man looks exactly like Joe Goldberg. He's giving off stalker vibes. They eventually make their way over to a nearby playground where the vibe turns a lot more serious. Nagi plops down on one of those metal rails, crosses his legs, and stares down at the ground while Igarashi stands nearby. After a bit of silence, Igarashi finally asks what's really on his mind, being what Nagi will do now about football. And for the first time in a while, Nagi actually doesn't have a quick answer. He shrugs it off like it's nothing, saying he really hasn't thought about it, but even that sounds more like avoidance than honesty. This guy looks completely out of it, and he's sadly been drifting mentally ever since leaving Blue Lock. Igarashi just kind of nods and says that he figures Nagi was that kind of guy. And of course, Nagi immediately claps back with a half annoyed, half confused response, asking what's with the whole "I understand you" vibe. Their conversation keeps going as Igarashi starts absent-mindedly rocking back and forth on one of those tiny panda playground rides, just casually talking while Nagi sits nearby. He tells Nagi to keep playing football, which makes Nagi immediately raise an eyebrow and ask if he means that he's siding with Isagi. Igarashi shuts that down immediately though, saying no, this has nothing to do with Isagi. He says it's just his own ego talking, because they were both kicked out at the same time and he wishes he could do that. Then without any build-up, he asks what Nagi felt in the moment that he lost. Nagi doesn't even flinch and just says he didn't feel much at all, and in a way, he kind of expected it to happen. Igarashi admits that yeah, he was upset when he lost, but at the same time, he felt weirdly satisfied. Nagi turns and gives him a confused look, but Igarashi explains it wasn't about the outcome, it was about the fact that he actually got the chance to chase the dream. He really did give everything in pursuit of becoming pro, and even though it didn't work out, he was proud to just step onto that stage. That alone made it all worth it. As he talks, he flashes a small smile, quietly thinking back to the day he got eliminated and remembering Igo's words, and for once, Igarashi actually seems content with how things ended. Compared to when we saw him crying his eyes out while being comforted by Isagi, he seems genuinely happy and unfazed by it all. Igarashi looks over at Nagi, genuinely curious about how he feels after everything. He asks if Nagi thinks that he was truly satisfied with how things ended. Nagi hesitates, then admits that sometimes, even when you're not fully satisfied with the outcome, there are moments when you have no choice but to let certain things go. Igarashi though immediately pushes back on that idea, firmly stating that dreams should not have limits or boundaries, and that giving up on what you want is never an option. I mean, I feel like a proud father watching him replicate Isagi's encouragement onto Nagi, because after all, they were homies until the end and there was so much good advice given. Igarashi finally gets off the playground equipment and starts walking over to Nagi while he talks about dreams. He explains that what really matters in a dream is how big the container is, the size of the vessel holding that dream, and the person. For him, chasing the goal of becoming a professional player was a dream big enough to risk everything for, but compared to the dream of becoming the best in the world, his vessel and attitude were just too small. That's why when he left Blue Lock, he was able to feel at peace with it all. He realizes though that Nagi is a different beast from him, a natural prodigy, and probably doesn't feel satisfied with the reality he's living in. Igarashi tells Nagi to not get too fired up or take things too seriously. He says that some dreams are just not meant for everyone. And with a laugh, he reveals that he came all this way to specifically tell Nagi this. You guys tell me if I'm tripping in the comment section, but this whole chapter literally feels like Igarashi came here just to rage bait Nagi back into playing. Nagi looks surprised at first, caught off guard by Igarashi's sudden smile and casual attitude, but then as he chuckles, they begin to talk about Baratsuda. Igarashi blurts out and asks if Nagi really got recruited to the U-20 team through some shady secret back door. Nagi admits that it's true, and even he can't fully wrap his head around how it happened. Igarashi gets fired up, frustrated that this mysterious guy didn't come to him first, and starts ranting, pacing and angrily swinging on the playground set as he vents about how unfair this all is. Nagi then drops a bomb by saying that he actually turned the offer down. Of course, Igarashi immediately wants to know why and keeps demanding answers while swinging even harder. I really thought that he was being sent by Baratsuda to recruit Nagi directly, but it turns out that he's just a genuine guy who wanted to have a chat with a friend. Tell me why I'm actually starting to like the monk now. Nagi sits back down with his hands tucked into his pocket and calmly explains why he turned down the offer. His words catch Igarashi completely off guard, so much so that he jumps off the swing in shock, struggling to process what he just heard. Nagi admits it's because he doesn't want to hurt anyone or betray what Blue Lock meant to him. For him, loyalty to that place, ego, and all of his friends still hold a lot of weight. Igarashi stares at him, struggling to believe that that's really his only reason. Nagi shrugs and says that's all there is to it, and Igarashi just stares back at him more, confused and honestly, a little frustrated. He points out the truth that if anyone's betraying Blue Lock right now, it's actually Nagi himself more than anyone. Nagi looks back at him, clearly caught off guard by the accusation, unsure of how to respond. He completely loses it on Nagi, veins bulging in his forehead as he stands up and starts pacing back and forth. He yells, telling Nagi to think about what really happened, how he made that last-minute pass to Reo that caused his team to lose. Igarashi points out that what Nagi did was the exact opposite of what a striker aiming to be the world's best should do. He then calls him out for claiming that he can't betray Blue Lock when his actions say otherwise, making it clear he thinks Nagi's words don't add up at all. The more Igarashi talks, the angrier he gets, cursing under his breath while Nagi fires back that if he truly had complete faith in Blue Lock, he wouldn't be full of doubts right now. Igarashi cuts him off with a sharp, lame, not buying any of it. He completely snaps at Nagi, calling his whole attitude pathetic and saying he can't believe Nagi even had the guts to come back after everything. Nagi just calmly agrees, but Igarashi is not done. He tells him that if his dream is so fragile that he'd give up because of what other people think, then maybe he should just quit already. Nagi shoots back, asking if he's trying to start a fight, and Igarashi just laughs in his face, pointing at him while clearly fired up and taunting him at the same time. He explains to Nagi how his family was totally against his ambitions. Leaving for Blue Lock wasn't a casual decision, but rather a deliberate choice he made with full awareness of the stakes. He was prepared for either extreme, spending his life working in a temple if he failed, or making it as a professional football player. He literally put his hopes and risk on the opposite sides of the scale. This is very similar to the dialogue that Bato had in the Ubers game when he explained that he does not want reward without despair on the other end. He cannot accomplish anything without knowing that there's risk accompanying it. The story flashes back to his parents arguing with him, but despite their protest, he just kept a quiet, determined smile. Then the scene shifts to an image of a balance tipping, symbolizing the conflict between Nagi's desire for independence and his sense of loyalty he has for Blue Lock. Igarashi then gets more fired up, telling Nagi that if he fought with focused determination for his dream, he could accomplish anything. He explains that people can only fully commit when their intention and precision line up perfectly. Then, he demands to know what Nagi is even doing now, pointing out that he cannot clearly say what he actually wants now. Igarashi yells that Nagi is lost because he never seriously considered what would happen if his dream just fell apart. He never thought about the risk on the other side of the scale because life before Blue Lock never really had any risk for him. Then, almost crying, he asked why it's Nagi who's lost and not himself. His frustration reached a peak as he spreads his arms wide with his hat even falling off. Finally grabbing Nagi by the collar and yanking him forward, Igarashi says that if he had Nagi's talent, he'd chase becoming the world's best player no matter how difficult or painful it might be. Nagi just stands there quietly, looking confused and a little overwhelmed by Igarashi's sudden intensity. I really love this moment because it shows something that most people dealt with regarding Nagi, his lack of applying himself with his God-given natural talent when other people were struggling, just trying to make a living. Igarashi suddenly pauses though and apologizes for the outburst. He admits that Nagi's life is ultimately his own and he doesn't want to keep meddling in it. As Igarashi stands there quietly, Nagi reaches down and begins to pick up the fallen hat. He looks back at Igarashi calmly and thanks him for getting mad at him, showing that he does appreciate that someone still cares enough to be frustrated. With the cap in hand, Nagi gently places it back onto Igarashi's head, locking eyes with him in a moment that feels surprisingly wholesome for two characters with really no previous dynamic. He thanks Igarashi for coming all this way to find him, and then, with a small smile, tells him that maybe he could actually make a good monk someday. Igarashi just stares back, caught off guard by this unexpected kindness, considering he did kind of just scream in his face. Igarashi blinks, clearly surprised by Nagi's comment, and quickly fires back that there's no way he's giving up football to become a monk. He insists he's still chasing that pro player dream and reminds Nagi that they haven't finished their conversation yet. Then noticing Nagi starting to walk away, he calls out after him, asking where he's going and teasing him for being lazy. But Nagi cuts him off firmly, saying he's had enough for now and suggests they meet up later. Even as Igarashi tries to argue and insist he's still going to become pro, Nagi just waves him off while pulling up the hood of his hoodie and disappearing into the distance. On the final page, Nagi waves his hand at Igarashi with his hoodie pulled up, and a dark, intense aura flares around him, kind of like Itoshi Destroyer vibe. Even his speech bubble turns dark black as he says finally, he's starting to feel fired up again. The chapter ends with a huge announcement. There's only 2 days left until the U-20 World Cup, so I guess we had a time skip. Then some outro text dropped saying, "A move from the past reignites a fire in someone's heart. The revived genius just won't stop." With that being the end of chapter 310 leaks, we're officially gearing up for Blue Lock chapter 311 titled Side B, which drops on July 15th. But just like today, there's always a chance we'll get those early leaks a bit sooner. The title itself is super intriguing because it probably focuses on the mysterious bout at Suda 3 and Nagi's alternate path, basically the group of players outside of the main 23. With the U-20 World Cup right around the corner, this chapter could give us a closer look at the training regimen Ego has the team grinding through. Honestly, I'm really hoping to see some detailed training exercises and strategy in action, but I'm just seriously hyped to see how everything unfolds. With that, that's everything from the chapter 310 leaks. We got some really interesting moments between Igarashi and Nagi, and I am loving how this is setting up his comeback. With just 2 days left until the U-20 World Cup, things are definitely heating up, and I cannot wait to see how it plays out. And I'm sorry, I know at the beginning of the video I said my voice was coming back, but I am still just a bit sick, so as I record, it gets worse over the video. If you enjoyed this video though and want to stay up to date with all things Blue Lock, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video shortly.